warm greetings to all, distinguished guests, esteemed alumni, and honored faculty. We are delighted to welcome you all to the unveiling ceremony of Sir M.A Wynter-Blyth's bust. I invite our respected principal to set the tone for this celebration with his welcome address.
Thank you. Delighted to see this great hall absolutely filled up for this great occasion. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Respected His Highness Mandhatasihji of Rajkot, President of the Board of Trustees, esteemed members of the Board of the Rajkumar College, honorable representatives of the founding houses and families, members of the School Management Committee, members of the ORA Executive Committee, our illustrious and distinguished alumni, especially our guest of honor this morning, Shri M.K. Ranjit Singh Ji of Wakaner, Shri R.K. Divya Bhanu Singh Ji Mansa, Shri K.S. Ayaz Khan Saheb, distinguished guests, eminent alumni, respected members of the faculty, and my dear students. It is my honor and a deeply felt privilege to welcome you all to this solemn and historic occasion, where we come together in reverence and remembrance of an extraordinary educator and human being, our legendary former principal, Mr. Mark Alexander Wynter Blyth. This afternoon, as some of us illustrious old boys graciously share their treasured memories and anecdotes of Mr. Wynter-Blyth, we shall also witness the unveiling of a remarkable work of art, his bust, thoughtfully installed within the hallowed presence of our historic quadrangle. It is on the enduring foundations of the noble customs and time-honored traditions that institutions such as ours have navigated the tides of time, at moments calm, at other times turbulent, yet always steadfast. It is truly moving for us, members of the present generation, to see the depth of affection and admiration with which so many of our old boys speak of their beloved principal, like one of their own family, and with such pride in having grown under his guidance and tutelage of this great man, Mr. Wynter-Blyth. I humbly acknowledge that I am but a modest voice when it comes to speaking about a personality of such stature. With great joy and reverence, may I now hand over the proceedings to a compere to guide us further this afternoon of remembrance and celebration. Thank you and welcome once again.
Thank you, sir. Some lives do not shout. They whisper through leaves, drift on the wings of butterflies, and echo softly through forest paths. One such life was that of Sir Mark Alexander Wynter-Blyth, an English schoolmaster who wandered far from the chalk-dusted classrooms of Cambridge to find his calling in the wild heart of India. In the hush of Himalayan hills and the golden hush of Gujarat's grasslands, he saw what others overlooked: the silent poetry of wings, the vanishing echo of a lion's roar. His book, Butterflies of the Indian Region, was no ordinary field guide. It was a symphony of color and science, of structure and soul, an ode to delicate creatures who speak in flight. And when the Asiatic lion stood on the brink of memory, he stepped into the wilderness, notebook in hand, and gave them a number, a name, and a future. Through his quiet diligence, the king of Gir found a second chance. Sir Wynter-Blyth was not merely a chronicler of nature. He was its quiet guardian, its devoted listener, and its unsung poet. His work was not just contribution, it was communion. Today, we remember not just the man, but the magic he awakened, the wonder of watching, the joy of knowing, and the deep enduring responsibility of caring. Now, may I humbly invite our President, a beacon of leadership, to deliver his address on this historic moment.
Our esteemed Board of Trustees present here for the prestigious unveiling of the commemorative bust of respected Wynter-Blyth, former principal of the Rajkumar College, Rajkot, namely H.H. Maharaja Raul, Vijayaraj Singh Ji of Bhavnagar, Thakore Saheb Jaideep Singh Ji of Limbadi, Thakore Saheb Padmaraj Singh Ji of Drol, Thakore Saheb Kirti Kumar Singh Ji of Lathi, Thakore Saheb Krishna Kumar Singh Ji of Choda. Our esteemed guests present here, Maharaj Kumar Saheb Ranjit Singh Ji of Wakaner, respected R.K. Dr. Divya Bhanu Singh Ji Mansa, Shri respected Vikram Singh Ji Gohil, our founding families and members of the royal families, our principal, Shri Yash Saxena Ji, Vice Principal, Keyuriba Gohil, Vijay Singh Ji Jadeja Bursar, Devendra Singh Ji Jadeja Proctor, Head of Academics and Sports, members of the different faculties, teachers, staff, students, boys and girls of Rajkumar College, Rajkot, members of the School Management Committee, ORA members and President, Shri Yogesh Bhai Wadhwana, Shri Vinesh Bhai Patel, parents, alumni, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a matter of great joy, delight and honor to be present here in this majestic central Bhav Singh Ji Hall, a spectacle of splendor, brilliance and grandeur, along with the Board of Trustees and our distinguished and esteemed guests present here for the prestigious unveiling of the commemorative bust of respected Wynter-Blyth. The three R's, royalty, Rajkumar College and Rajkot, are interconnected and complementing each other. Royalness or royalty, meaning thereby maintaining your dignity, integrity, honesty, humbleness, politeness, compassion, love for all, are the attributes which were and are groomed, coached and cultivated in the first of its kind historical heritage school on the soil of this country, India, the Rajkumar College, founded, established and installed by the valuable, generous and voluntary contributions of the erstwhile rulers of Saurashtra in 1870 in Rajkot. Rajkot being the 7th fastest growing city in the world and the cultural, social, educational and industrial capital hub of Saurashtra, often referred to as the land of the rising sun. Since its inception in 1870, this institution has been a beacon of excellence, perfection and tradition. Over the years, 12,500 students have walked these hallowed and sacred halls, guided by the wisdom and dedication of around 1,000 teachers, and the institution has been steered by more than 1,000 teachers, as I said, but steered by 16 principals so far. And it will be interesting for you to note that of them, 10 were British, each leaving his unique imprint on the institution. And one of the outstanding principals of the Rajkumar College, the 9th principal of Rajkumar College from 1948 to 1963, is our revered former principal, respected Mark Alexander Wynter-Blyth, who was a visionary, far-sighted, totally dedicated, and surrendered his life to the upliftment and development of the institution. He was a marvelous, magnificent, and a masterful principal, and steered the college and its students through turbulent times, was a premier conservationist of Asia's lions, and a foremost lepidotheorist of India. A great principal is one who inspires dreams, harnesses courage, encourages creativity, builds confidence, instills love of learning, touches our hearts, and changes our lives forever. Respected Wynter-Blyth had all these attributes of a strong leadership and a living legacy to transform vision into reality, empowering students to become leaders, thinkers, and fine human beings, propelling themselves at highest levels in all sectors through excellence and perfection. His meticulousness, compassion, love for nature were par excellence. It is said that a good leader would say that to lead people, walk beside them. People do not notice their existence is the attribute of a good leader. And when a good leader's work is done, people say that we did it ourselves. A good leader takes a little more of his share of the blame and a little less of his share of the credit. Wynter-Blyth was a living embodiment of vision, dedication, leadership, and inventiveness. After our India's independence in 1947, the then principal of the Rajkumar College, Mr. Sprosson, left, and the difficult task of steering the Rajkumar College through very dire financial challenges and the calls for it taken by the newly formed government fell upon the then Raj Pramukh, Lieutenant Colonel H.H. Maharaja Shri Digvijay Singh Ji of Nawanagar, and respected Wynter-Blyth. Both of them pulled the college through difficult times and made RkC into a fine institution. During Wynter-Blyth's tenure of a decade and a half, up to his untimely demise in 1963, he mentored countless students like M.K. Ranjit Singh Ji, Shri Divij Bhanu Singh Ji Mansa, Shri Ayaz Khan Saheb, Darbar Sahib of Pajod, Thakore Sahib Muli, Thakore Sahib Lathi, and many others who owe to his stewardship, guardianship, trusteeship, and tutelage more than words can express. He was a naturalist, and in the words of John Mayo, it is said that a walk with nature, one receives far more than what he seeks. And Albert Einstein stating that look deep into nature and then you will be able to understand everything better. The earth laughs in flowers. Wynter-Blyth had regular visits to the Gir forest and he felt that there was a calling from the mountains and he must go. The clearest entry into the universe is through the forest wilderness. Nature wears the colors of the spirit, and Wynter-Blyth had profound insight into the natural world and emphasized on beauty, wisdom, and interconnectedness. He played a pivotal role in the conservation of Gir lions, and his groundbreaking work during the mid-19th century in the Gir forest, when the population had dwindled down to a few hundred due to habitat loss, hunting, human-wildlife conflict, and his two censuses of 1950 and 1955 were significant. 1950 recorded an estimation of about 270 adult lions and cubs, whereas 1955 recorded around 290 adults and cubs. These primary results were remarkable for their time, as they provided some of the earliest population data of the species. Wynter-Blyth's innovative census technique, which involved counting pug marks at water holes during the dry season when lions were supposed to congregate, was so efficient and beneficial that it became a model for monitoring wildlife in India, not only influencing lion conservation but also tiger population assessments. His remarkable studies highlighted the precarious state of the Asiatic lions, provided awareness among the conservationists and the policy makers, and laying the groundwork for future protective measures such as the establishment of the Gir Wildlife Sanctuary in 1965. Today's census of 2025 records a population of 891 in and around the Gir forest. And Wynter-Blyth's works include his essay on the geography of Saurashtra, the Gir forest and its lions, part 1, 2, and 3, and the lion census of 1955. Butterflies. Butterflies are the tiniest ballet dancer, angels' kisses sent from heaven, and self-propelled flowers. John Keats has said that the poetry of the earth is never dead. John Keats, in a very poetic form for butterflies, said that I almost wish we were butterflies and lived but 3 summer days, and 3 such days with you I could fill with more delight than 50 common years could ever contain. Butterflies are nature's confetti, cream and caramel. The derivation of wisdom in life we take from butterfly, as it is said that just like a butterfly, embracing transformation and change. The wings of transformation are born of patience and struggle. Rabindranath Tagore has said very aptly, the butterfly counts not months but moments and has time enough. Wynter-Blyth's great sense of observation, analytical powers, passion, and deep insight into their behavioral tendencies while spotting a butterfly in the garden or while taking a nature walk has led him to write books nationally acclaimed, redefining his sense of hope and renewal. His significant works in the field of butterfly conservation through his seminal book, Butterflies of the Indian Region, 1957, published by the Bombay Natural History Society, remains a foundational field guide for Lepidopteris of the Indian subcontinent. His works, Butterflies of the Nilgiris, Butterflies of the Simla regions, are remarkable. And that is the reason that his comprehensive study of 500 butterfly species provided a basic data for understanding butterfly conservation, and his meticulous 27 colored and 45 black and white plates facilitated species identification, awareness among the conservationists and the researchers, and indirectly fostering butterfly conservation and levying and emphasizing the significance on the ecological importance of butterflies. His legacy, I would like to reiterate here that in Rajkumar College, Sir Wynter-Blyth's legacy rooted in the supportive environment of Rajkumar College urges us to blend passion with opportunity, using our unique positions to champion environmental stewardship and safeguard biodiversity for our future generations. When Shri Ranjit Singh Ji and Shri Divya Bhanu Singh Ji are sitting here, I would like to say that what can there be a better testimony of the competence, compassion, love for nature, educational imbibements, intellectual intake of the respected Wynter-Blyth than to see his able, leading, exalted, enlightened students like Shri Ranjit Singh Ji Wakaner and Shri Divya Bhanu Singh Ji Mansa and Darbar Saheb, Ayaz Khan Saheb. Immensely contributing in the field of conservation of wildlife, research papers, publications, and in the field of education, empowering students to become fine human beings. I would say that respected Ranjit Singh Ji Wakaner, a pioneering conservationist, an author, and who has drafted the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, saving the central Indian Barasingha from extinction in Madhya Pradesh, having been instrumental in the establishment of 14 wildlife sanctuaries and 9 national parks, penned down 4 influential books like the Indian Black Buck, A Life with the Wildlife, Beyond the Tiger, Mountain Mammals, and has been instrumental, and he championed the reintroduction of cheetah, culminating in the return in Kuno National Park in 2022. Shri Divya Bhanu Singh ji, who is an Indian wildlife expert, historian, and researcher on the history of the Asiatic cheetah and Asiatic lion, and his books, The Story of Asia's Lions, The Last Trail, The Cheetah in India, which earned him a rare Doctor of Literature degree, D.Lit, and has been an ex-member of National Wildlife Action Committee. And our respected Shri Ayaz Khan Saheb, our teacher, our guru, our ex-housemaster, our ex-director, with whom we have family ties, has empowered students to become leaders and thinkers and fine human beings, had been conferred with the Guruvar Award in 2009 for lifetime achievement given by none other than the Union Human Resource Development Minister, and his father, respected late Darbasai Pajod, with whom my father had great relations, and he would always speak so highly of him, was a very eminent and outstanding Urdu and Gujarati poet. All 3 elders of mine and my family members made a directive request to me of placing the commemorative bust of respected Wynter-Blyth in the precincts of the Rajkumar College. Was a very well-desired thought signaled by them, and I bow to them with deep reverence, with their solicitous gesture, upholding the values of Guru Shishya Parampara and giving respect, our dutiful and rightful homage to the outstanding human being and principal respected Wynter-Blyth, has now come to pass, is one of the finest, singular, satisfying, fulfilling moments of my life. I feel blessed, privileged, and honored to be instrumental, along with my board of trustees, for the commission of this statue. I am very grateful to Shri Rudra Thakar, the eminent sculptor who is sitting here, who has, with his tremendous and painstaking efforts, sculpted from the Italian marble the bust of respected Wynter-Blyth, depicting his features, attributes, passion, achievements, and personality. The book in his hand in the bust refers to his scholarly inclinations and publications. The butterfly brooch refers to his innate interest in butterfly conservation with resounding results. I am equally grateful to Miss Mahimaji Champawat, our curator of the Darbargarh Palace Museum, for the continuous coordination, collaboration, correspondence, designs, sketches, compositions, and font style. And to Kumar Saheb, Shri Krutar Singh Ji of Kutch, of Devpur, of recommending and identifying the sculptor for us, and to Shri Suresh Bhai Dhangra, Om Marbles, for assisting and helping me procure the best of the best Italian marble from Italy, and my umpteen congratulations to the 91 years young Shri Suresh Bhai Sanghvi, and I adore him for his agility, enthusiasm, passion, and stamina for work, and his son Shri Rikho Bhai Sanghvi for successfully completing the civil works and helping us align the bust in the quadrangle, keeping in view the symmetry, other statues, and easy movement. I, from the innermost recesses of my heart, am very, very grateful and express my sense of gratefulness to all our esteemed and distinguished guests here, alumni, teachers, staff, students, boys and girls of the Rajkumar College, Rajkot, for their lively and inspiring presence here, for their nobler endeavor of imparting the rightful recognition and deep reverence to our respected Wynter-Blyth for his teachings and achievements, and in turn, we seek his blessings to remain committed for his environmental guardianship and infinite love for nature, and we all collectively, unitedly, in unison, gather here today for upholding and respecting the Guru Shishya Parampara of our Sanatan Dharma. Long live the star, the Rajkumar College, Rajkot, and the living legacy of our principals and gurus. Thank you. Jai Hind, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Thank you, sir. As we gather to honor Mr. Wynter-Blyth's memory, I request RkC of Mansa to take us through the chronicles of this great leader. Sir, please.
President of the Board of Trustees, Thakore Saheb Shri Mandhatasihji of Rajkot, the Honorable Trustees, and I would first say old boys of Rajkumar College and very old boys of Rajkumar College who are present here to commemorate and think of Principal Mark Alexander Wynter-Blyth, distinguished guests, and the students of Rajkumar College who are present here for whom this institution exists. At the outset, I will simply mention and come back to the point later that Thakore Saheb of Rajkot was the person who supported this project from the word go. 2.5 or 3 years ago, I happened to be passing through Rajkot, and very kindly Thakore Saheb dropped in to see me. I was in the principal's bungalow, and then I went and told him, why should we not have Principal Wynter-Blyth's bust in the quadrangle of the school? And without batting an eyelid, he said, I am with you. And true to his word, he has lived up to it, and today you will see the result of his support and appreciation of the work done by this principal. I will just take a short time and come to the life of Wynter-Blyth as such, who we the students used to call him very lovingly and otherwise Pinto, and his wife we used to call Pinty. But this was with much affection and much love. There was no derision, there was no downplaying the gentleman. And it is really in the fitness of things that if you would look at in that direction, and Sri Ayaz Khan, he is wearing the Wynter-Blythian uniform, which is blue shirt, regulation khaki trousers. What is missing are Pathani chappals. And I asked him, why isn't he wearing Pathani chappals like Wynter-Blyth used to wear? He said he couldn't find them. So next time I see you, I would like to see you with Pathani chappals as well. So let me come to the biography of Mr. Wynter-Blyth. He was born at Harrow-on-the-Hill in Middlesex in 1906, and his father was an analytical chemist. So in his mind, in his upbringing, there was already a seed, if I may say so, of research, of science. His mother, of course, was a homemaker. He studied at a small school at Sedbergh High School in Yorkshire, and after that he went off to Magdalen College, Cambridge, wherefrom he took his bachelor's degree, I believe in geography, tripos in geography, and naturally after 2 years he became M.A Cambridge, and very much later in life he became the Fellow of the Royal Entomological Society, considering the work that he had done in that field. Mr. Wynter-Blyth came to India in 1936. He was at that time 30 years old. And frankly, I don't know what he was doing till he was 30 years old, because he must have completed his bachelor's degree or tripos from Cambridge at around 22 years or 23 years of age, can't be older than that. So what was he doing from 23 to 30? I don't know, and I would wish I could find out. He came to India in 1936. I don't know what brought him to India either, because neither of his parents had any affinity or history towards India. But he came in 1936. And he became a master at the Bishop Cotton School in Shimla, and went on to become the headmaster of its preparatory wing. From there, he went off to a school, St. George's Schools in Katti in the Nilgiris. But while he was at Simla, he came across a gentleman by the name of A.E. Jones, who was an amateur naturalist. And he was influenced by this amateur naturalist, which took him to the hills, and he started writing about, in the journals of one kind or another, on the mammals and birds of the mountains and so on. That's where he started all these things. In 1947, or 1946 rather, he came to be in between. During the war, he volunteered for the army, but he was declared unfit and was offered a desk job, which he did not take. He turned it down. And after the war, in 1946, he came to Jamnagar as a tutor and a mentor to the present Jam Saheb. And Mr. Sprosson, the only student of Mr. Sprosson, happens to be here from Bilka. He tells me that Mr. Sprosson too, like Mr. Wynter-Blyth, passed away rather suddenly after having been the principal of the school for only 3 years. That being the case, the Jam Saheb, Digvijay Singh Ji, took the very fortunate, remarkable step of appointing Mr. Wynter-Blyth as principal of this school. Now, what was the time? Let us understand the time at which Wynter-Blyth comes here. It was the year 1948. India had become independent and a dominion in 1947. In 1948 onwards, the states of Saurashtra and elsewhere were being merged, and the Union of Saurashtra was being formed. This was a very critical time, a very tempestuous time, because one order was about to be snuffed off to be replaced by another. That was the time when Wynter-Blyth comes to this school. What does he find? The support and patronage of the princes, which made this school, right from the word go in 1870, starting with Bhavnagar and other princes. This hall, as you know, is called Bhavsinghi Hall. All of a sudden disappeared. There were less than 50 students, I am told, at that time. All right? And it was therefore a major challenge to ensure that the school did not sink. The Union of Saurashtra required an assembly hall for the legislative assembly and required accommodation for the MLAs. And the then Chief Minister started eyeing Rajkumar College, this very hall, to be converted into the Legislative Assembly and the two wings at that time. Digvijay Singh wing was not in existence then, to become the residence of the MLAs. It was the late Jam Saheb, Digvijay Singh ji, who as Raj Pramukh put his foot down and said, this will never happen. There is a tradition, apocryphal maybe there is no truth in it, but he is supposed to have said that I would much rather burn the school down rather than hand it over and close this institution. I am not sure if this is true, but even if it is not true, it illustrates the approach and attitude of this great man. It was during this time that Principal Wynter-Blyth and the Jam Saheb, with Jam Saheb's support, guidance, patronage, call it what you will, Wynter-Blyth was able to steer this college, pull it out of its financial woes. And I do not know when the school had 100 students, but I very vividly remember when the school had 150 students, because I was in the school at that time, and there is a photograph here in which he sits here and I find myself standing punily somewhere in the back seat. But that was 150, and that is the time onwards that the school never looked back. See, this was the oldest prince's school. And this was the school which gave guidance to how the prince's school was to be converted into a public school which would open its doors to everybody in the country. This happened in the 40s, but it was Wynter-Blyth's time where the school evolved a reputation, and more people other than princes started coming into the school. And let it not be forgotten that this infusion of people from other streams of society made the culture of the school what it is, and it was Wynter-Blyth who guided the school from almost a feudalistic culture to the great culture of a public school which continues even today. And therefore, this is, in my view, by far the greatest tribute we can pay to the old man. I come to some other points about the man. There was a breed of Englishmen, or British, or United Kingdom citizens, there's always a confusion what to say about them, which, unlike some others, gave their lives for this country because they loved this country. And the other shining example in front of us is that of his successor, Peter Rogerson, who came to India to join the Indian Army, British Indian Army. He resigned as captain from there and came straight to Rajkumar College and died with his boots on. Why? I mean, he could have, I don't know how many of you know, his father was a very rich textile merchant. He owned mills. He could have gone back to a very cushy life in England. He didn't have stuck around here at all. But he did, because he loved India, because he loved the school. And he died quite literally with his boots on. I would say the same thing of Principal Wynter-Blyth. He was in love with this country. He was in love with the school. And he too died very suddenly on his way to London. He was on his holiday, and he passed away in Switzerland. It was a great loss to the school. It was rather sudden, but he had already made the position of the school so strong that his successors could carry his legacy forward. Were it not for the foundation that Wynter-Blyth and the late Jam Saheb laid for the school, I doubt if he would be sitting here today. Another quality of this great man was that unlike, or rather like, so many Englishmen who had interests other than their jobs. They were people with Renaissance intellect. They could think and dream of things which had perhaps nothing to do with their working life. I mean, I would take the example, for instance, of Alan Octavian Hume. He was the founding father of the Indian National Congress. Very few people remember him. But he was the finest ornithologist of his period. His work is referred to even today. This was a different breed of people who came out to India to serve this country, unlike most of their other countrymen who came to India to exploit this country. This is the greatness of Wynter-Blyth. So when the task was given by Thakore Saheb, Rajkot, to me, to assist him in his putting up his bust and putting up the stone with a legend below his bust and so on, we decided that not only should we mention that he was the guy, he was the person who steered the school through very turbulent times, which I have mentioned to, alluded to earlier, but we should also mention his contribution other than that of the school. So, Thakore Saheb has made my job very easy. He has given in detail what he did for the Asiatic Lions. Let me just say a couple of things which perhaps are not very well known to the people here, or people anywhere for that matter. When the Nawab Sahib, Muhammad Khanji III, acceded to Pakistan and went off to Karachi, the one great love that he had, along with Kathi horses and dogs, was the Asiatic lions. And he gave tremendous protection to Asiatic lions. And let it not be forgotten that were it not for last three Nawabs, Bahadur Khanji II, Muhammad Khanji and Rasul Khanji before him, you would not have had a single lion in this country today. 1879 onwards, they started protecting lions, and I think I am right in saying that this was the first animal in India, possibly in the world, to receive protection for its own sake rather than for the sake of its use to human beings. When Muhammad Khanji III went off to Karachi and the state came under chaotic condition, the Gir forest suddenly became an open free-for-all, and a lot of animals were butchered, including lions. I don't want to go into the details. They are pretty well known if you scratch the surface. And therefore it was Wynter-Blyth who persuaded the government of Saurashtra that, look, let's count the lions and find out how many of them are there. And so he, along with a person whom we call Bapa, that is Dharmakumar Singh Ji of Bhavnagar, granduncle of Maharaja Sahib who is sitting here, both of these gentlemen got together as representatives of the Bombay Naturalistic Society and did the surveys which Thakore Sahib alluded to, and that became a sort of starting point for conservation of Asiatic lions in independent India. Incidentally, these were the very methods which were used during the Nawab's time in Junagadh, and similar methods ultimately got used for the population enumeration of tigers at a later date. Similarly, his work on the butterflies of the Indian region is a work which has stood the test of time, and even at this late stage, after almost 60 years, it is the go-to book. There is only one major book for the Indian region which has recently been published on butterflies by a man called Kihimkar. And he is a direct descendant, if I may say, of Principal Wynter-Blyth. I would now like to talk of a few personal experiences or experiences that I have heard of Wynter Blyth. He had a Ford V8 car, which he had bought from Mr. Shenoy, former Diwan of Rajkot state. And Mr. Shenoy, being an ardent fan of the great film actor Nargis, named the car Nargis. This car was bought by Wynter Blyth. And as was Mr. Wynter Blyth's wont, he used to drive up to the Gir forest in that car and do his study work or whatever. He used to love his shikar, and so he used to take his gun along and shoot for the pot. He was never a vandal. He shot only for the pot. One day his car packed up in Gir. So he sent a telegram to Pinty, lovingly called Pinty, his wife, Mrs. Wynter Blyth. Nargis expired coming by train. Only Wynter Blyth could have thought of that. It was also Wynter Blyth's wont that every Sunday in the evening, he would materialize in our dining halls. There were only two dining halls at that time, senior and junior, and prep wing turned up later. And one evening, I was served, we were all served. At that time, we used to be served a soup, a main dish, and a pudding. And I was served a pudding which was very watery. And I was served it in a saucer. Now, Wynter Blyth used to come in the evening and follow us, stand behind us to make jolly sure that we swallowed that bitterest of pills, Peludrin, which was a derivative of quinine, because at that time, as you will all recall, malaria was a big deal. So I was trying to negotiate with a saucer in my hand, and I was trying to drink it like a good Gujarati does. Suddenly I get a tap on my back, and I look back and I see Wynter Blyth and I almost faint. So he says, Divya Bhanu, don't behave like a barbarian. You don't know how to eat your soup? You don't know how to eat your pudding? You better learn some manners. Which was, I thought, was very typical of him. On a personal level, I should be honest enough and say that I was not a great student. I was a very sickly child. I used to suffer from asthma. And every Monday morning, an ikka would arrive at the back near the principal's bungalow, and I would be taken in solitary glory to the civil hospital, where I was put under ultraviolet rays. What those rays were supposed to do to my asthma, I've still not been able to find out. But that's what used to happen. So I couldn't play any games. I was told not to play any games, and I used to be given a small cup of milk with 2 bananas and 1 slice of bread for dinner before sunset. This was my life out of my 5 years in Rajkumar College. For 3 years, this was my life in Rajkumar College. I don't blame the school, it was my problems. And I was a very indifferent student. I did not like studies. I'm humble enough to accept the fact. I never got any academic honors. And Principal Wynter Blyth had rather a poor opinion of me. And he used to tell me very clearly that, look here, if you do not gird your loins, you are not going to get very far in life. And frankly, I did not like that at all. But when I went to college and looked back on my school days, I realized that every word that the man said had a meaning. And he was right, I was wrong. From that time onwards, I mended my ways. And if I have achieved in anything in life, it was what Wynter Blyth told me, which guided me to whatever I could do later on in life. This is a personal tribute I must pay to this great man. And were it not for him, I don't think Thakore Saheb would have asked me to say a single word here. So thank you, sir. Having said that, let me just come back for a short while. This whole project was visualized by Thakore Saheb. I only irritated him, if I may put it crudely, by saying, why can't we have Wynter-Blyth statue here? And he said, I am with you. And then single-mindedly, he has followed this project. And we have a brilliant sculptor, and he has really executed a remarkable statue only from photographs, which is a very tough thing to do. Let us be very careful, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not come down and say, okay, this doesn't look like, this doesn't look like. But photograph is only two-dimensional, whereas sculpture is three-dimensional. And out of those photographs, few that we had, the sculpture has been made. I would like to thank, particularly as an old boy, and a very old boy, and a student of Wynter-Blyth, to thank Thakore Saheb because he donated this remarkable, wonderful piece of Italian marble on which the statue has been carved. So, Sir, Mr. President, trustees, old boys, I am grateful to you all for giving me this signal honor to honor my mentor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I'm happy to welcome M.K Ranjit Singh Ji of Wakaner to recount the life of one of our great mentors. Sir, please.
President Mandhatasihji, Principal Saxena Saheb, members of the trustees, fellow RkCians and friends. Thank you. So much has been said about Mr. Wynter-Blyth that I would prefer to fill in the blanks and to talk something a little differently, for which I have been thankfully given permission by the President and I think, to talk about the contribution of some of the other principles of the RkC. At the outset, of course, I'd like to thank Mandhatasihji and Mr. Saxena for inviting me here. It's been a great trip into nostalgia and the reliving of some wonderful memories, including being in this hall after so long. But to come back to the RkC, we know about, or we may not know, and that's why I want to leave behind some of these things, because this is not in the 40 years of Rajkumar College history, the leather-bound books, and I think it should be appreciated, and at least it will create a kind of respect for the institution that this is and was. We know about Mr. Barrett, who started a cricket tournament, Barrett Shield. We know about Mr. Main, who wrote about the history of Drangadra, apart from being a very long principal here. But Chester McNaughton and Waddington. Mr. Rogerson, others have talked about, and it's in recent memory. And we all love Mr. Rogerson. But the old ones. Waddington was the second principal of this college. The gymnasium is named after him, and he was the principal when my grandfather was the head boy here. But few know about what the exploits of Mr. Waddington. He, with the Rajkumar College boys, was responsible for spearing cheetah from the Rajkumar College and in the grounds which today on which stands the Saurashtra University. in 1904. But he was a remarkable sketch master, beautiful drawings, and he's produced a book, Princely India, which he signed and gave to my father in retirement in England, which is a treasure which I possess. I hope there is one in the library, and in which he recounts his exploits. But let me mention this. When the Maharaja of Bharatpur was dethroned by the British, and the young Maharaja was a minor, Waddington, who by then had joined the political department, was appointed the administrator of Bharatpur. And he got a student of the RkC, the younger brother of the one and only Vagji Thakore of Morbi, Harbamji of Morbi, who lived here in Rajkot because he couldn't live in Morbi. Ek म्यान में दो तलवार नहीं हो सकती है. So he lived here, and he got him as revenue secretary. Bharatpur constitutes the greatest wetland, man-made wetland, not only in India, but in Asia and I think in the world. Man-made wetland, UNESCO site. I have seen the entire area covered with water, covered with ducks and with coots in the winter. And they say when they used to fly, it used to be a great place for shikar, for viceroys and the great Bharatpur shoot. And it was the last place where the Siberian crane came to India, and it is still our greatest wetland. It is there because because a canal was built to bring water to it, Ajaan Bandh. It is today what it is because of Ajaan Bandh. And Ajaan Bandh was built by Waddington and Harbamji. There you have it. Nobody knows this. But today, if Bharatpur is there, it is because of Waddington and Harbamji. Macnaghten, Chester Macnaghten. I am maybe slightly partial. I was Macnaghten House, not Maine. Anyway, so the first principle. In the late 1890s, the legendary Vibhaji Jam, Saheb of Navanagar, adopted a second son. The first one had been poisoned. So he adopted a second son, the second son of the Thakore of Sadodar. And the biography of the man, read with it. After the anointing ceremony, Jam Vibhaji said, "Take him away, here there is danger." The boy was sent with a special note to Chester Macnaghten to look after him, to prevent. That is why he was sent here, to prevent him from also being bumped off in Jamnagar. I'm sorry, I have to say all this. Macnaghten took him under his wing and found that the little fellow was a cricketing genius. But he was young, he was small, and the darbars and the bapus of those days were more interested in sports and in education. And on a choir thing, they used to bowl short and used to hit. In those days, there was no chest guards, no helmets, no elbow pads, no thigh pads. And I assure you that ball hurts like hell. The little boy used to run away to leg side, to avoid the bumpers. It is reputed, I'm not 100% sure, but there is too much evidence for it, Macnaghten put 2 nails round the leg of that boy to prevent him from running away. So, what this little man had to do was to take the ball on the back foot, and then he realized that by holding the right arm a little loose and slightly gliding it, he could use that kinetic energy into a boundary. The leg glance was invented, and that was Macnaghten. But what is certain is also, this is reputed to be, I am not 100% sure, but what I am 100% sure is the next story. In the early 1890s, I hope I am not hurting feelings, Jam Bibaji had a son from a Muslim concubine. And a appeal was made to the viceroy that he should be made the heir and Ranjit Singh Ji should be disowned. The matter went up. I'm sorry I'm taking a little time, but I think it's an interesting story. The matter went up to the governor of Bombay, and the governor of Bombay said, Jam Bibaji has been very loyal to the king and the crowd, the company and the crown during the mutiny, and he is old, we should have known. So, little Ranjit Singh Ji became persona non grata. Now, what to do with this man? He was a liability. Macnaghten suggested that he take him to England. Macnaghten took the boy with him to England, put him in a school, then to Cambridge, 3 centuries on Parker's Piece, Fenners, Hove, Sussex, England, 184 on first appearance, Manchester. The second person ever to make a century on first appearance after A.C. Bannerman. 100 between lunch and tea. As Neville Cardus writes, it wasn't batsmanship, it was magic. He became a household word, and he continued to play. And then in 1906, Bibaji passed away, and there was an uproar again to install and do something right. The matter went up again to the governor of Bombay. At that time, as luck would have it, the governor of Bombay was Sir Frederick S. Jackson, F.S. Jackson, the captain of Yorkshire in England. The captain when Ranjit Singh Ji had made that centurion appearance. And of course he said that we must set this right. And I'll quote the words of what he said when Ranjit Singh Ji was crowned as the Jam Saheb. And I quote, today we anoint Prince Ranjit Singh Ji as the Jam Saheb of Navanagar. He becomes a ruler of a small state when he is already a king of a great game. That led to that affinity, that proximity, call it what you may, led to Jam Saheb Ranjit Singh Ji being the first Chancellor of the Chamber of Princes in the Parliament House, the old Parliament House, Chamber of Princes. He was the first. Jamnagar was a small state. There were 21 gun salutes. Baroda, Nizam, 19 gun salutes. Kashmir, Mysore. Ranjit Singh Ji became the first Chancellor. And now I come to this story. At the time of the merger, it was Jam Digvijay Singh ji who was the Chancellor of the Chamber of Princes. And I'm 100% sure that he would never have become the thing had Jamnagar already not been there previous to him. And it was Jam Saheb, Digvijay Singh ji, who negotiated the first transfer of power and led the way to the integration of India. And the princes of Saurashtra got the best deal of all. And if that was facilitated, it was a historical moment. And you can trace it back to Chester McNaughton. I'm sorry, I'm digressing perhaps, but it may be of interest. A lot has been said about the thing, and I won't repeat. Mr. Wynter-Blyth. He came, as was said, at the transition from a private elitist school to a public school. I was the 54th student of the school of RkC, 54. And there were a handful of day scholars, so there were less than 50 of us in boarding. And there were almost as many staff members. And we saw the transition, 100 students and 200 students during this, and we got holidays. So that transition, Devabhanu has mentioned about it, from a thing to a modern Indian public school. The credit goes to M.A Wynter Blyth. Now, personally, and also about the Lions, and I'll come to that. I spent a year in the principal's bungalow when I joined in January 1949. And for me, it was a learning process. And then my brother went away, I was with him, and then I came here to junior wing. But at the end, when I passed senior Cambridge, and I was at a loose end, he suggested to my father, and I came back here for 4 months, and I learned so much from him, from the viewpoint of conservation. It was Wynter-Blyth who took me first to the Gir forest. I was there with my father and Rajkumar College to help him count the lions in 1950. It was Mr. Wynter-Blyth who introduced me to the mountain fauna, his trips to the Baspa Valley, his trips to Kashmir. He introduced me to his friends and his shikaris in Kashmir. And I took off from there, and my love for the mountains, which culminated in a book on the mountain mammals, actually began in that house of the principal. So, that much for that. But coming to the lion part of it, Lepidoptera has been mentioned. Coming to the lion part of it, it was a symbol of India, but a very, very unknown, because it was there in the Mauryan pillar, which is there in our emblem. The Mauryan pillar with the lions. But it became the national animal because of that. But it was then still a object to be hunted. And Raj Pramukh gave permissions to hunt lions in those days. It was permitted. It was this census of the 1950 and the focus and the aura that the lion developed, that the transition took place of the lion from a rare object of the huntsman to a national icon. And today, if Gujarat doesn't want to give lions to the rest of the country, I can trace it back to Mr. M.A Wynter Blyth, Cantab, M.A. So, there you have it. Personally, I owe him a great debt of gratitude for whatever he's mentored in me. And I will end up by saying that when I was about to leave, I went and asked him for a school leaving certificate in this office of his just behind here. And he was there with his pipe, and he looked at me and said, "Why do you want a certificate? You got a first division in senior Cambridge, any college will take you." I must have whimpered or groaned or God knows. And he said, "All right, I'll post it to your father." He did post it to the father, and it is the second best testimonial I have ever had in my life. And I will treasure it. Thank you, sir, for what you did for me, for the college and for the country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now open the floor to any of our distinguished alumni who wishes to address the gathering. Your experiences are a treasured part of our celebration and a source of great inspiration for our current students. Please do step forward at your convenience.
Respected President Rajkot Thakore Saheb, Maharaja of Bhavnagar, Thakore Saheb of Limdi, Thakore Saheb of Drol, and Thakore Saheb of Chuda, plus esteemed old boys, ladies and gentlemen. Have no worries, I won't take more than 5 minutes. So I won't trouble you much. This hall always reminds me of the old times. Mr. Wynter-Blyth used to come to this hall every morning for our assembly. And also he would give us punishment also here. And just to harass the Rajkumar College head boys Zahid and Ayaz Khan, who was two-striped, we would tell Mrs. Wynter-Blyth that Ayaz and Zahid are saying, "Who is Mrs. Wynter-Blyth? I don't care for her." And she would shout at her husband, saying, "Collins, make my boys separate prefect." And we would purposely come late, and if they would harass us, we would say, "We are coming from the Bargad." Same way, one day we came to know the RkC first 11 didn't have any cricket match with any team. So we requested the principal that why don't you keep our match with them? So he immediately told Basant Singh Sahib that my boys will play with your team. As long as Mr. Wynter-Blyth was sitting, they played very well with us. They didn't hit us ball or anything. The moment Wynter-Blyth went away to his room, they started bodyline bowling and made us blue-black, hitting us everywhere. And same was the case with the teachers. They would also beat us so much, like a punching bag. My father was a member of council, yet they didn't care for it. And they would give a big slap to us. Those were the different days, and Mr. Wynter-Blyth would take us for a shoot to Bamanbor. He would shoot couple of ducks, and then he would make us retrieve the birds from the water. That was the highest point of the day. And the car's name was Nargis, Oldsmobile, which was worse than a Khatara. Yet Mr. Wynter-Blyth never asked for a new car or anything for him. He was like a saint. And whenever we felt like going out, we would request him. One day Talat Mahmud had come to sing at the Gymkhana. That was in 1957. We requested Mr. Wynter-Blyth that allow us to go and hear his music. So he rang up the club and made a special seats for us in the front line. And we requested Mr. Wynter-Blyth, please don't ask to come back at 10 o'clock. Let us hear full music. Otherwise, he would ring up DSP at 10 exactly, saying, my boys are getting disturbed, stop the music. Such were the days. Anyway, I'm glad today so many old boys gave tributes to Mr. Wynter-Blyth. He was a thorough gentleman. In these days, we will never get such a soul to walk on this soil again. Wherever Mr. Wynter-Blyth is there, I'm sure he is surrounded by angels. Rest in peace, sir.
I had been asked to speak and I had refused actually. I'd been asked by the principal to speak, and then yesterday I got a few calls and I realized that I will have to obey the orders of two of the trustees and president of ORA, and I didn't want to be punished, so I come here. All that needed to be said about Mr. Wynter-Blyth has already been said. I'll try and find something quite different. So what I thought I'll do is, he wore blue shirt, khaki trousers, Pathani chappals and a pipe in his mouth. Whether it was lighted or not, we never know. He was seen in no other dress except for during functions and during morning assembly, when there was an unwritten law that staff members must wear a jacket. So he wore a white blazer and a gown. पीड़ेला होठ खोलो तो बोलूं, सोगन दईने बोलो कि बोलो तो बोलूं, मित्रों मारा बोल तो अतोल छे, ए लागणी ना तराजवे तोलो तो बोलूं. You have to listen to me with affection, because all of the eloquent people always speak before me. There is some kind of conspiracy to show me off, as it were. Anyway, this dress is more than, it actually reflects the character of the principal, Mr. Wynter-Blyth, our principal, Mark Alexander Wynter-Blyth. It symbolizes two things, actually more. One is confidence in himself. The other is integrity. He didn't want to show off at all. He was happy as he was. There's nothing, he never adorned himself in any way whatsoever. As Divya Bhanu Singh has said, and Maharaj Kumar Ranjit Singh ji has said, and Thakore Saheb has said, when he took over in 1948-49, the school was taking its last grasp, as it were. It was dying. And in those 15 years, he made it stand on such solid foundation that we are enjoying the fruits of his endeavor till today. This is a fact. From a school which could have stopped in 49, we are enjoying it there today. Therefore, we requested this governing council to put up his bust. It had to be done. He had to be commemorated, in fact. Divya Bhanu said he was 150th student. When he took over, there were 62 students in Rajkumar College. It had never gone beyond that. From 1870 to 1948, the strength had never gone beyond 60. In the 15 years that he was at the help of the school, it went from 100 to 200 to 300 and more. Really. And if Divya Bhanu Singh was 150th student, I can't remember that, the 100th student, the first 100th student whose entry made us enjoy a holiday is also here, Darbar Saheb of Zainabad, Shabir. Uthe, bhai, please get up. The first 100 students of the Rajkumar College. I remember them coming, we were having a biology class, and I remember they coming in a tonga, the two cousins, Thakore Saheb of Amod and the Darbar Saheb of Zainabad, and Mr. Kulkarni, our headmaster, said, boys, holiday tomorrow, 100 student is coming. I've never forgotten that, indeed. The thing about Pinta, we called him Pinta, was the confidence in himself. He did such wonderful, he did a kind of magic, turning the school from nothing into some great institution. Never ever spoke of himself as I, my, and myself. I challenge all the old boys who were present at his time whether he had ever heard Mr. Wynter-Blyth say, I did it. That was another strength of this man. Never spoke about himself. Wynter-Blyth actually were two persons. There was M.A Wynter Blyth, the principal, and there was M.A Wynter Blyth, the man. As a principal, he was frightening. All of us kept our distance. Anati dur revu saru. But actually, he was a man of kindness, of love, of humanity, and of goodness. And he was very sweet to the student. But that is when he was out of the school premises. The students who went with him to the Gir forest or the Shikar or wherever, they could walk over him, all over, as it were. But in the school, Anatidur Reusaru, he felt that his goodness was a kind of weakness as far as his work was concerned. So he created a kind of veil which kept us away. As I told the sculptor, Mr. Thakore, when we met, he is the only man that I've ever known who tried his hardest to be not popular. He just didn't want to be popular, this man. He just did things which would say, oh, asu kare se pinto, all kinds of things. I suffered him. All my 9 years as a school, I suffered him. I'll give you one example. My sister got married on the last day of the summer vacation. Next day after was a reception in Radio Club Bombay, where the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Morarji Desai, was to attend. If I attended my sister's wedding reception, I would be 2 days late for the beginning of the first term, new term. I was not given leave. He says, if Ayaz doesn't turn up, he will not go with the cricket team to Delhi College, Indore. When I see the album of my sister's wedding, I remember this and I wonder why I adore this man. Because in my reckoning, he was, as a principal, only second to McNaughton. Of the 16 of us who have been here, we can't match him. his performance for the school, total dedication to school, not for himself, cannot be matched. McNaughton, when he first took over and started it all, and Wynter-Blyth, when the school was coming to a bad time. I talked about his integrity. After his passing away, sudden passing away in Switzerland, Mrs. Wynter-Blyth, whom we call Pinty also, and we call the Queen also. By the way, Shabir spent all his schooling with her in the bungalow. When the old boys went to UK, they made it a point to meet Mrs. Wynter-Blyth. You know where they found her? This wife of the principal who served Rajkumar College for 15 years, she was, to earn her living, a lowly matron in a boarding school. A lowly matron. He had collected no money, but he was a very rich man because he had won our respect. He had, his only objective was to serve this institute to the best of his ability without seeking anything for himself. And he achieved that, and therefore, we have been requesting his, well, everything that needed to be said has been said. We thank the Thakore Saheb for having accepted our request to have us bust here, and the members of the governing council. Thank you all so much. We thank the sculptor, Mr. Thakar, who suffered me at one time, came and met me at my home, and Miss Champawat, who suffered us more because we kept on asking her and pestering her, and she was always so graceful and so kind in her interaction with us. Thank you very much. Wonderful to see so many old boys here.
A very good afternoon to each and every RkCians, those who are present today over here. I didn't expect it that I'll get a moment to speak today, but to the President and to each and everyone I could say, the month of Shravan has been started from today. Mahadev is blessed on me that I got a chance to speak in a school where I used to stand in this particular hall and gave the first speech of my life. And today is one of the divine moments for me that I could say. RkC has day in and day out, has always been throughout my life. Whatever I am today right now, it's only and only because of Rajkumar College. I owe each and everything to this school. I remember in Form 7 when I joined RkC, I used to come from a joint family and I was the first one who has ever been to the boarding school. All my cousins and all of them came to drop me over here. My first housemaster was Mr. Mahendra, and all those teachers, those who shaped the life of me that I have spent here. One moment that I would like to tell and why I particularly came over here to speak, that we all are today remembering Wynter-Blyth, that those seniors, those who spoke about him. I would like to say that I was not a scholar or a student who used to get good marks. My father and my parents always used to get worried for that. Once they came to school and they decided that if this kind of result is there, then we would like to withdraw the admission. It was at that particular moment when Ayaz Khan sir was the principal, was the director, and he told that don't just judge him by the marks or the 3 hours paper that he is giving. Allow him to take part in other curriculum activities. allow him to be in this particular school. And I would like to say that thank you so much, sir, for that particular moment. If everyone is remember, I could say that yes, we are seeing those directors right now in front of me. Sir told to my parents that allow him to be here in the school. And I had been the first speech of my life, the recitation that we used to have in RkC. Surekha ma'am was there. She prepared all those things that I have to speak. This was the particular place where I gave the first speech of my life. Today, by the grace of God, I run a university with the 7,000 students in my campus and more than 500 employees. I am a motivational speaker who has touched the life of more than 50,000 youth, has also spoke at Vibrant Gujarat. And last year, on the birthday of my daughter, I published a book called Let's Live Before We Live. And all these things, if I would like to give and credit, then after my parents, it's RkC that has shaped me who the person I am today. And this is what RkC is all about, where you are not being judged by the marks that you obtain just in the classrooms, but even if you spend your time with your faculty members after your dinner, after the lunch hours, after the breakfast, or in assemblies, or any other time, those are the really special moments. I got a privilege to be the captain of a cricket team when I was in 2009, when I was in Form 12. I was a senior prefect, but all the memories, even today, I remember not a single day that has gone in my home that I have not remembered RkC. Something or the other where we are talking or discussing anything, it's always there that we used to do this in RkC, we used to do that in RkC. And I have convinced my son that he is in 3rd standard right now, but from 7, yes, sir has told me to put from 5, but I have asked him to come to join RkC in a Form 7, and that legacy will help him that has shaped my life. To each and every member present today over here, entire team of trustee members, ORA members, and to each and everyone, thank you so much for giving this wonderful opportunity to me today in this prestigious moment. I was just remembering one thing when I was sitting over here. We all remember just a few weeks ago, we have seen that Wimbledon has completed. The tournament is over of 2025. We always see the royalness over there in the TV when we see the Wimbledon. I could definitely say that doesn't matter if we have never been to UK or even in Wimbledon, the royalness which we see right now in RkC is far better than any other place that we have seen. So this is the legacy, this is what we have learned, this is what we are going to keep within our hearts as long as we live, and with 100% responsibility I could say, there are only 2 types of school in the world, one is RkC and rest of all. Thank you very much.
President of the board and members of the board, thank you very much for inviting me to this August function. I have a few corollaries which I wanted to add to what has already been said about me by Ayaz Khan. We were contemporaries in school. The first thing is that I stayed all my term. I joined the school in 1950 and I passed out, didn't fail, in 1959. And all these years I was a bungalow boy. I was with Mr. Wynter-Blyth and Mrs. Wynter-Blyth. except for one term when I was shifted to the junior wing for that short one term. Otherwise, I was always in the bungalow. I was the first head boy of the bungalow also. So these are corollaries that I wanted to add to what has already been said. And I would also like, because I used to accompany Mr. Wynter-Blyth on his shikar trips and as also his wildlife tours. We went to Gir in 1955 when he did his census, the lion census. I was also with him. And I remember that evening, he already had his sundowner, and then quite late in the evening, night, I think it was after dinner, that we went into the forest. And we saw a male lion walking in front of us. And we followed him. He went off. Again, we waited. Again, he came on the road. Again, we followed him. This happened 3 or 4 times. And the lion had enough. So then he went off into the jungle. And I was sitting behind in the jeep with my legs dangling outside the jeep. And then we tried to locate him, but there was no sign of the lion. So the jeep was reversed. And there I saw the lion. He was about 10 feet away from me. And he growled and raised his tail. I remember this. Next morning for breakfast, I recited this to Sir. I said, "Sir, did you see the lion? He raised his tail and he was growling." He says, "Really? That is when they charge, they do this." And I was sitting there with my legs dangling. That is when I realized my folly and what could have happened. But things like this were there. And we took it in our stride. It was a wonderful experience. Mr. Wynter-Blyth, I have no words. I have no words. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you all for sharing your experiences and making this day a memorable one. It transported us back to the era of his remarkable contributions.
It is my pleasure to introduce you all to the creative genius behind this magnificent bust, Mr. Rudra Thakar, who has animated life into the marble that now immortalizes Mr. Wynter-Blyth's visage. Mr. Rudra Thakar is a distinguished contemporary sculptor whose monumental works embody a seamless dialogue between tradition and modernity. A graduate of the prestigious Faculty of Fine Arts at MS University of Baroda, Mr. Rudra holds both a bachelor's and master's degree in sculpture with a creative practice that spans over a decade. His sculptures, crafted in enduring materials like bronze, wood, fiberglass, and metal scrap, are prominently installed in public spaces, palaces, temples, and institutions across India and beyond. Celebrated for his mastery in large-scale bronze commissions, Mr. Rudra has been entrusted with immortalizing royal legacies, notably through his series of majestic sculptures of Maharao Pragmalji III of Kutch, commissioned by the royal family of Kutch. His work also includes the world's largest Nandi sculpture in Gujarat and internationally recognized pieces such as Ways to Wonder, Redeemer Rio in Brazil. Whether carving revered deities or crafting modern installations from recycled material, Mr. Rudra brings to life a deeply rooted cultural narrative with contemporary vision and finesse. Driven by purpose and precision, Mr. Rudra Thakar stands as a sculptor who does not merely shape material, but sculpts memory, heritage, and identity into enduring form. As a token of our gratitude, I respectfully request Honorable President to please come forward and present a memento to Mr. Rudra Thakar.
Thank you, sir. And now the moment we all have been anticipating. After the national anthem, we will all proceed to the quadrangle where the veil of time will be lifted, revealing the enduring spirit of Mr. M.A Wynter Blyth. We, the students and the faculty of Rajkumar College, Rajkot, extend our heartfelt gratitude to His Highness Thakore Saheb Mandhatasihji of Rajkot, President of Board of Trustees, for his gracious and generous gift of the sculpture to our esteemed institution. Thank you, sir.
The Honorable Board of Trustees will first plant a sapling, followed by the unveiling ceremony. Upon the conclusion of the unveiling ceremony, guests are requested to kindly gather for a group photograph. A formal luncheon will follow at the Dhrangatra Hall. Your gracious presence will honor the occasion. Now, let us all rise for the national anthem.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly proceed to the quadrangle for the unveiling ceremony. Thank you.